Today, we deliver the decisive blow. Earth's convoy will burn, and the galaxy will witness Cravath's supremacy. They hide behind treaties and hope, but hope is not a weapon. Today, they learn fear.
But before he could finish, every sensor on the bridge screamed at once with a sound no Cravath had ever heard. They wouldn't understand what they were looking at for another 6 years. By then, it would be too late. 6 years earlier, in 3041, a Cravath orbital station detected an unexplainable energy signature. The readings showed a temporal distortion, a spike in spacetime that shouldn't exist. The data was logged and ignored. No one connected it to a war that hadn't yet begun. It was a message from a future that was already being erased. By the time they understood, the battle would already be over. But in 3047, High Admiral Vresh was still confident. He gave the order to fire. Plasma torpedoes streaked from the Cravath warships, crossing the void in silence. The Earth cargo vessels had no warning. Explosions bloomed along their hulls.
Where is their response? Nothing. Not a single shot.
6 hours passed. The convoy was shattered, but no counterattack came. No distress signal. No defiance.
They should be screaming. Every ship, every captain, every frequency. Silent. This is wrong.
The Cravath bridge grew quiet. Officers checked sensors again and again. The void gave no answers.
Scan the fleet perimeter. Look for cloaked ships, mines, any sign of an ambush.
But deep space was empty. The only thing moving was debris and the silent Cravath fleet.
Was this a trap? Number? A trap would spring. This is something else. A void opening under our feet.
The silence was louder than any weapon, and it was just beginning. Then, without sound or warning, the forward cruiser Varax simply ceased to exist. No explosion, no debris, just gone.
What just happened? The Varax, where is it?
A sensor officer stammered. The Varax was gone, at least in this moment. But its destruction signature had already been recorded.
Impossible. Show me the sensor logs, now.
The tactical display rewound. Space-time ripple. Target, Varax. Date of destruction, 3041. 6 years before the attack.
This isn't an ambush. This is a strike from the past. A wound before the battle even began.
Across the bridge, the officers' voices rose in confusion. Some checked their own ship's statuses, suddenly afraid of what might be missing.
Open the Earth channel. Let them hear us. Let them demand something.
The channel opened, static. The Earth naval emblem sat on the screen like a locked door. Not a single word returned.
They aren't ignoring us. They already answered. Before we even fired. But how?
Before Vresh could speak, another cruiser began to flicker. Solid one moment, ghost the next.
What is happening to my fleet?
Its hull phased in and out of existence, a mirage folding in on itself.
They're unmaking us, not destroying, unmaking. Every ship, every crew being erased from history.
An officer cried out, "Admiral, 3 more ships just vanished. No debris, no traces."
Find the source. Trace that distortion back to its origin.
But the distortion had no source in the present. It was a scar, a wound in time from 6 years ago.
Earth, answer me. If you are doing this, use your weapons, make your demands. Just stop this erasure. They want me to watch, to feel my command dissolve around me, ship by ship.
The Cravath fleet was no longer an armada. It was a fading memory, already half forgotten. The distortion led back to the Cravath homestar 6 years ago. There, in 3041, something had been destroyed.
Reconstruct that event. Show me what happened in 3041.
The sensors assembled a timeline. The construction yards, bustling with half-built warships. Then a single ship approaching, a human dreadnought, sleek and silver blue, fired precision beams into the yard's core. Energy cascaded. The yards collapsed in silence, every frame a future never built.
They didn't attack the fleet. They attacked the fleet's birth. My ships were never fully constructed.
The admiral's claws dug into the console as understanding struck him like a blade.
An Earth warship at our home star 6 years ago. How is that possible?
The computer identified the ship, TSV cause and effect. Its timestamp was undeniable.
Earth has a time weapon. They struck us before we could even finish building this fleet.
The temporal distortion reached the flagship's hull. Bridge lights pulsed erratically. A console flickered, then the officer at it vanished for half a second, reappearing with no memory of the lapse.
Status report. What's affecting us now?
But the ship's own systems struggled. The chronometer jumped, displaying 3041 before resetting.
It's reaching back through time, unmaking my ship, my crew, my very command.
A young officer's form, blurred, transparent for a breath, as if the universe was forgetting she had ever been born.
Helm, confirm our structural integrity. Are we still here?
The helm officer's reply was a burst of static. His station, a ghostly image from a timeline no longer certain.
This weapon doesn't just kill, it erases. And I am next if I don't find a way out.
The flagship groaned, phasing in and out of existence, a casualty of a war already lost 6 years ago. On the flagship's tactical deck, officers worked frantically to model the weapon's temporal reach. The math was terrifying.
How far back can it strike? Days, years, longer?
A calculator hissed a single answer. If the weapon could target constructions, it could target lineages.
My ancestors, my blood. They could unmake me before I draw breath.
The officers' debate turned to panic. Someone whispered that Earth could erase the entire Krevath civilization before first contact.
Then why haven't they? If they can erase us, why leave a fleet to remember? Unless they want me to see. Unless this is a demonstration, a warning not to attack.
The starfield outside flickered, as if the universe itself was uncertain. Some stars blinked out for a second.
Every ship that vanishes is a lesson, and the lesson is you were already defeated.
Earth's silence was no longer a void. It was a verdict, and the Krevath were waiting for the sentence to be carried out. On the bridge, Resh stood motionless. Around him, officers scrambled, but he only watched the flickering stars.
I could end this. One command, and the erasure stops. But surrender means a Krevath never admits defeat. My ancestors conquered stars. They faced extinction and laughed. If I kneel now, I erase them too.
Another cruiser dissolved, its crew gone mid-sentence. The fleet was now barely half strength.
They aren't killing my soldiers. They're making it so my soldiers never were. There's no glory in this death. Someone tell me, this is a weapon we can fight. A ship we can target. Give me anything.
Silence answered. Then a young officer whispered, "Admiral, cruiser Gavath just ceased."
Even if we retreat, we've already lost. I led them into a war that ended before it started.
Resh's claws trembled over the command console. The pride of the Krevath hung on a single decision.
To save what's left, I have to admit, there was nothing to save from the beginning.
The flagship's corridors flickered like a dying candle. Half the bridge crew shimmered, transparent for an instant before solidifying.
They're losing cohesion, phasing in and out of existence with every heartbeat.
An officer's hand passed through her console. She reappeared gasping, missing the last hour.
Report. Does anyone still have a stable station?
Outside, the hull turned translucent. Stars shone through the armored skin, as if it were glass.
We're becoming ghosts. Soon we'll be forgotten, and then we'll never have been.
A calculator officer stared blankly. He couldn't recall his name, only a burning shipyard in 3041.
I need a solution, a frequency, a reversal, anything to anchor us in this timeline.
The flagship was a spectral form, surrounded by ghostly outlines of ships that were never constructed.
The only way out is to hear Earth's terms. I must find what they demand before we're nothing.
The Earth emblem vanished. In its place, a human face, calm, unblinking, appeared on the hail screen.
Hi, Admiral Vresh. I am Captain Thomas Whitaker of the TSV Cause and Effect. Your attack is already answered.
What have you done to my fleet? This is not a weapon. This is an abomination.
Your fleet was never fully built. 6 years ago, we disabled your construction yards. The ships you are losing never existed. Surrender now, and the timeline stabilizes. Refuse, and the next correction will reach further back to before your birth.
He means to erase me, not just my ships, but my bloodline, my memory.
The cause and effect hung in space like a specter, its hull shedding crackling temporal light.
You have 90 seconds, Admiral. This is not a negotiation.
90 seconds to decide if I exist tomorrow or never.
The hailing channel stayed open, a thin thread between two captains and the abyss.
Prove your weapon. Show me the strike that erased my fleet before it launched.
Whitaker's image remained still. Then the hail screen split, and Kreveth consoles lit with archival telemetry.
TSV Cause and Effect. Patrol, year 3041. We found your construction yards at Krevath Prime, building beyond treaty limits.
The data was undeniable, time-stamped, authenticated by their own Krevath sensor network.
They have our logs, the same distortion signature, the same moment of silence. It's not a trick, it's real.
We disabled the yards quietly. No time travel, just a routine patrol that acted on treaty violations.
A 6-year fuse. They lit it and walked away, knowing we'd attack eventually.
The flagship's lights died for a heartbeat, then surged back. The timeline was struggling to hold.
40 seconds. Surrender, Admiral, or I'll extend the correction further back than your birth.
He's not bluffing. And if he's not bluffing, I have no choice but to become the admiral who lost everything.
The flagship's bridge fractured into chaos. Half the officers shouted for more time. The other half stared at flickering consoles, afraid to touch them. One officer demanded they analyze the distortion further. Another screamed that the ship's core was losing temporal coherence.
Time is the one thing Earth won't give us.
A deck section phased out, taking 2 operators with it. They reappeared seconds later, blind and gasping.
No more theories. Find me a way to stop this collapse, or prepare to be erased.
The chronometer on the hail screen ticked down. 30 seconds.
Every second, another ship disappears. Soon, my flagship will be the last to fade.
The bridge lights dimmed to near darkness, then flared red. Hull integrity readings scrambled into nonsense.
I must choose, but every choice is a different kind of death.
20 seconds remained. The final moments of a battle fought 6 years before it ever began. The timer on the hail screen hit 15 seconds. Resh's bridge fell silent as the chronometer's red glow washed over frozen faces.
15 seconds, Admiral. The timeline is already closing. Once it locks, there is no reversal.
He's giving me a chance. Why? If he can erase me, why offer terms at all?
10 seconds. The flagship's hull groaned like a wounded beast, half its mass flickering between reality and memory.
Because they want surrender, not annihilation. A live enemy who learned a lesson is worth more than a dead one.
5 seconds. Vresh's claw hovered over the command panel, trembling.
3 seconds.
My name, my blood, my legacy, all of it ends if I don't speak.
The chronometer flashed. 1 second. The bridge lights died, and Vresh felt the cold edge of non-existence. The timer reached 0. For a heartbeat, the universe held its breath. And then, as the timer struck 0, the universe held its breath. Then the cruiser Urvath dissolved into a spray of light that never existed, its ghostly afterimage lingering for one final heartbeat.
The Urvath, 3,200 crew. Now they were never born.
The fleet formation collapsed into chaos. 5 more ships flickered and vanished, the gap spreading like a disease.
Every ship that goes phases out a piece of my command. Soon there will be nothing left to surrender.
The flagship's hull turned translucent, and for a moment, the crew saw stars where steel should have been.
This is not a battle. It's an execution delayed by 6 years.
Another cruiser, the Varath, let out a final transmission, a scream cut short as it phased out of all timelines.
I can end this. All I have to do is admit that the Kreveth lost before they ever launched.
Resh's claw moved to the hailing panel. The surrender command glowed amber in the dark.
I have one word that will save what little remains.
Resh's claw struck the amber command. A surrender pulse leapt into the black, the word he could not speak aloud.
Captain Whitaker, the Kravath fleet surrenders. Cease the correction.
Surrender acknowledged, Admiral. All temporal corrections are suspended. Stand by.
I just gave Earth the victory they planned 6 years ago. The shame will eat at me forever.
The surrender signal crossed the light seconds, and the Kravath fleet fell silent. No further ships vanished.
My ancestors will curse my name, but at least there will be a name to curse.
On the cause and effect, Whitaker gave a single nod, a gesture as quiet as the war itself.
They didn't fire a shot. They just waited. 6 years of patience erased everything I was.
The Kravath fleet surrendered, a ghost of its former self, waiting to see what fragments of its history would be allowed to remain. The flickering stopped. Across the fleet, ghostly hulls snapped back to solid, the universe sealing the wound with brutal finality.
Half the fleet is gone. Not destroyed, never built. The cause of our defeat is already written in the past.
Timeline stabilization is confirmed. Your remaining ships are intact, Admiral. The correction has ended.
Intact, but fewer. The ships that are here were built in yards we now remember burning. We are living in a paradox. Captain Whitaker, I surrender what remains. The Kravath Empire will know of this lesson.
The remnants of the Kravath fleet drifted in silence, the missing ships a permanent scar across the stars.
I built this fleet in secret. Earth simply watched, and then removed the foundation before the walls were raised.
You will receive formal terms within the hour. This conflict is over.
The Kravath fleet stood still in the void, a monument to a war that never had a chance to be won. But Resh knew that the deepest wound was not the ships he lost. It was the knowledge that Earth had planned this 6 years before he even dreamed of attack.
There is no time weapon, Admiral. The cause and effect never traveled through time.
No time weapon, but the yards, our sensors, the fleet vanished. How can this be?
We were on patrol in 3041, monitoring treaty compliance. Your yards exceeded every limit. We disabled them quietly.
6 years earlier, the cause and effect had stumbled upon the Kravath construction yards, bristling with illegal hulls.
We didn't need a time machine. We just needed patience. Without those yards, your fleet was always going to be incomplete.
No temporal weapon, no magic. Just a patrol that saw too much and acted, knowing we would attack eventually.
The time weapon was a lie, a bluff written across 6 years of silence. A strategy conceived in a naval command room and executed with patience.
They let me build my fleet, launch my attack, and only then discover I was already crippled. They weaponized my own ignorance.
Earth's true deterrent is foresight, Admiral. We saw your ambition and removed the means before you could use it.
Resh stared at the silent human captain, understanding at last that he had been defeated, not by superior firepower, but by a patience that spanned years. Resh replayed the deception in his mind, a cosmic chessboard where Earth had moved first, 6 years before his opening assault.
They saw my yards, knew my ambition, and did nothing, except remove my foundations before I could strike.
The time weapon was never real. It was a psychological trap baited with 6 years of silence.
I called it an abomination, but it was just patience. Human patience.
He stared at his empty claws, the hands of a pawn, not a predator.
I was the weapon they used against myself. My arrogance completed their strategy.
The bridge was silent. His crew avoided his gaze. The conqueror was now just a prisoner of a 6-year-old plan.
My ancestors would laugh at me, not with me. They faced extinction and smiled. I faced patience and crumbled.
Resh sat alone on his command pedestal, the weight of absolute defeat pressing into his bones.
There is no glory in being outsmarted by a species that waited 6 years to humble you.
In 3041, the cause and effect hung behind a dead moonlet, watching the Crevath yards through passive sensors. Captain Whitaker gave the order. No explosions, just a quiet severing of every power conduit. The yards collapsed without a fight. The dreadnought vanished back into the void. For 6 years, the crew waited. They knew the fuse was lit, but they told no one.
We can't boast or warn, just patrol and wait. One day, a Crevath admiral will make a mistake.
The crew held their silence, day after day, year after year, as the galaxy's worst-kept secret gathered dust in a classified file.
The Crevath won't see the blow coming until their own attack reveals it. Will be the answer they never saw.
The cause and effect became a ghost in the stars. Its silence was Earth's greatest weapon. The treaty violation was a ticking bomb. Earth simply let the Crevath light the fuse themselves, and so the dreadnought drifted through the black, waiting for the future to catch up with its past. Earth had no time weapon. The power they wielded was older than any machine, the patience to wait for an enemy to reveal their own weakness. The cause and effect was just a ship. Its real weapon was the silence of 6 years. While the Crevath built in secret, Earth watched, and in watching, they won. The time weapon was a lie that saved countless lives, both human and Crevath, because fear of erasure forced surrender where battle could not. Resh learned too late that the deadliest deterrent is not a weapon you can see. It is the knowledge that your enemy saw your moves before you made them and chose to let you walk into a trap of your own design. Earth's reply reached the Crevath 6 years before they fired, not through time travel, but through foresight. That is the true deterrent that will echo across the galaxy. The bridge lights dimmed further, and Resh sat alone in the dark. The great Crevath fleet was now a hollow shell.
I launched the greatest assault in Crevath history, and I was defeated by a patrol that happened 6 years ago.
He stared at his open claws. The hands that had commanded an armada now held nothing but the memory of what never should have been.
My attack was a spark that lit a fuse already spent. The war was over before my torpedoes launched. I will be remembered as the admiral who charged into a trap he didn't see. The greatest fool the Crevath ever produced.
The bridge fell utterly silent, as if even the machines understood the magnitude of his failure.
Earth didn't fight me. They just removed my future and waited for my present to collapse.
6 years of planning had undone him. 6 years of silence, louder than any war cry.
There is no revenge, no recovery. Only the knowledge that I was never a threat. I was a lesson they had already written.
And so the High Admiral sat motionless, a prisoner of his own ambition, waiting for the weight of his shame to finally break him. The Crevath fleet, half empty, drifted in the void like a monument to a war that was never allowed to happen. On the cause and effect, Captain Whitaker watched the ghost fleet in silence. There was no celebration. They had won not by firing faster, but by seeing further. They fired first. Earth's reply had been waiting for 6 years. The cause and effect cruised into the peaceful starfield, its engines a quiet hum against the vast silence. Behind it, the Crevath flagship sat dark, Vresh alone in his chair. He did not move. He could not. The weight of his error pinned him to the darkness. The stars shone steady now. No flickering, no ghosts. Only the quiet certainty of what had been taken. The war was over before it began, and the galaxy would remember, not a time weapon, but patience. The deadliest force in the universe.